So in this lesson, we are going to add and subtract numbers with decimals. The key to this is that we're going to have to line up the decimals. That's pretty much all you need to remember. So we're going to simplify by using addition. So 89 and 61 hundredths plus 26 and 632 thousandths. So I'm going to write out the 89 and 61 hundredths. And I'm going to write my decimal here and write in the other numbers. So 26 and 632 thousandths. The reason that I need the decimals to line up is so that the ones are added together, the tens are added together, the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths. Now, some people, when there is a blank, prefer to put a 0. I think it's helpful, especially if you have like I don't know, more numbers here, because then it's sort of tough lining some of them up sometimes. Like, you can make mistakes lining them up. So let's add these. We get 2. Just so you know, this is actually 2 thousandths. We're adding 0 thousandths and 2 thousandths. We're adding 1 hundredth and 3 hundredths, and we get 4 hundredths. 6 tenths and 6 tenths gives you 1 whole and 2 tenths. And then just add like normal. So we get 10 plus 6 is 16. And then 10 plus 80 is 90, plus 2 is 110, but we just write 11. So 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Remember that this 11 is actually 110. It's just that we have the 6 there. So 129 and 69 hundredths plus, first thing we need to do, line up the decimal and put 27 wholes. If it's helpful, once again, we put these placeholders. Well, they're there. The zeros are there. We just don't write them all the time. There's no point in writing them. So 9 plus 0 is 9. 6 plus 0 is 6. Remember that this is 9 hundredths plus 0 hundredths is 9 hundredths. 6 tenths plus 0 tenths is 6 tenths. So 9 plus 7 is 16. So this will give us 5, but remember that's actually 50. And this will just bring down the 1. Okay, so those are our 2 addition problems or examples. Let's look at subtraction. So we have 71 and place our decimal, and we take away 12 and 3. Place our decimal first. 12 and 3 tenths. This is one of those times where that 0 is really helpful for us because we're going to have to borrow. So 0 minus 3. We can't do that, so we need to borrow from this 1 whole. So we get 10. We get 10 minus 3, or 1 whole minus 3 is 7 tenths. Remember that all these decimals will line up. If you look at the other ones, let's look at those real quick. See, the decimals lined up, decimals lined up. Always just bring down the decimals. I forgot to say that earlier. So here we have 0, and we're trying to take away 2. We need to borrow again from this 70. So we get 10 minus 2, is 8. And 6 minus 1 is 5. Remember that 5 is actually 50 because it's actually 60 minus 10. All right, let's do it again. So 78 and 3 tenths. So I'm going to line up my decimal and then take away 16 and 4,321 ten thousandths. I'm going to place some zeros here to help me out. This is one of those times where the zeros really help out because it's a lot of blank space. So in this case, we're going to have to borrow all the way from this 3 tenths right here. In reality, borrowing from here would make this a 10. but then we'd have to borrow, and it would become a 9, and then so on and so forth. So in order to get a 1 here, this will become a 9 actually. This will become a 9, and finally this will be a 10. If you need an explanation as to why a more in-depth one, so this became a 2. It borrowed over here, became a 10, but then this needed to borrow. This one needed to borrow. So then this became a 9, and then this became a 10, but then it needed to borrow one more time, so it became a 9, and this one became a 10. Just know that these ones might be tricky for you, so just always come back to this one. Like to this example if you need. And then 9 minus 2 is 7, 9 minus 3 is 6, 2, okay, so we need to borrow here. So that's 8, that's 1, and that's 6. Okay, now I know this example isn't necessarily in here. Well, it's not in here, but I'm gonna write one real fast. So just I don't know, give you another one. So let's do 23 and 5/10, and we'll take away 13 and 7, 6, 5. Okay, so remember here we would need the zeros. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another number here to help you out. So when we go to borrow here, we'll have to borrow all the way from the 5, because we want to borrow from here, but there's nothing here. We want to borrow from here, but there's nothing here. We want to borrow from here, so we borrow. Remember that this became a 10, but then we borrow it and it becomes a 9. This became a 10, but then we borrow and it becomes a 9, and then this one would finally become a 10. So thank you very much.